KSM show.
Well, right now we're going to introduce this gentleman who can help you overcome nervousness. Put your hands together. Let us show some love for Kwabla for him. There you go. There you go. There you go. Kwabla, welcome, man.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And have
KSM.
a seat.
Thank you.
Good to see you, man.
Good to see you.
Wow. I must admit, I was at the seminar at NAFTI. I was sitting in the back when you're doing your presentation.
Okay.
And you were talking about communication. You were awesome.
Thank you. Very
And
kind. Very
yeah.
kind words. Thank you.
Honestly.
Much appreciated.
Yeah, but I mean it. Please, all MPs, ministers, government functionaries, just pay Soko Fuel, come and take 30 seconds, 30 minutes class with this guy, man. He can help you communicate. I'm sorry.
Did you hear that?
But it was spot on.
Thank you.
I learned, honestly, the few things that you were throwing out there, that even for me, I was like, wow, this is new.
That's very.
So keep it up.
That's extremely humbling coming from you.
Well, keep it up.
Because I have always looked up to you.
Really?
Yes. I mean, you've inspired many of us.
Well.
On this very show, when you brought the NASA, the African who was, that was when I felt like we could also do something. I mean, who would think that there was an African at NASA?
Yeah.
You know, but we saw all of that right here on this.
Show some love, man. And you went to NAFTI. You're a filmmaker.
Yes.
And I wouldn't say you have strayed because as a filmmaking is so broad. It can cover everything.
Actually, we combine filmmaking and what I do full time this time around.
Okay. And you do a lot of things, but I'm particularly interested in how you help people to overcome nervousness. Let's say I come to you, Himi, or I bring somebody, I say, oh, Henry, train this person is always nervous. Okay. Where do they start? What do you look out for? What do you ask?
Well, first of all, what we do is we set a goal or a target for you. So we ask you, what's the one thing you're dying to do that you've been avoiding the whole time because of nervousness? Once we have that information, then we take you through the remainder of the program where we demystify nervousness. And then we teach you how to harness the nervous energy and put it to use. And then we send you out there to do that one thing you've been running and avoiding your whole life. Wow. And you do it, and you come back and you give feedback. And the relief, the sense of relief that we've seen with the different individuals we have helped, it's the most fulfilling.
What is the most, how do I put it, challenging task that you have had? Somebody comes to you and tell you, this is what makes me nervous, for example. What is the...
We see different situations all the time, but there are a few that come to mind. So there's this fantastic news anchor who, when he's presenting the business news on one of the TV stations, was so relaxed and comfortable. And then the station felt, because he was that good, they moved him to present a live show with a live studio audience.
Oh, this was a recording one. The first one was pre-recorded?
No, it's not pre-recorded, but you know, when anchoring the news, there's no audience.
So they moved it he had a live audience?
To a live show. And then he starts fumbling through and through. He couldn't remember his lines. He couldn't articulate anything. And this had gone on a couple of episodes. And so the producer had warned him a few times that they would replace him. And he loved the opportunity they had presented him, and so he wanted to stay. Now, what it meant is that if what we did with him didn't work, he loses his job and our credibility goes down the drain. I have him on video where he gives a raving testimonial because he stayed on the program, and as we speak, he's very comfortable emceeing live shows outside what he does.
So what do you take people, give me close enough. What do you take people through? For example...
You know how a few centuries ago, people were sacrificed to the gods, to appease the gods, so that eclipse will not happen? And that's only because we didn't quite understand what the science behind the eclipse was, and was shrouded in all this mystery. Nervousness is quite the same. And so when we take you into the program, the first thing we do is demystify what nervousness is. Now, I'm sure some of our audience at home would want me to define what nervousness is. And for the purposes of our program, what we say is one word: energy.
Nervousness is energy.
It's energy. And once you understand its energy and you learn how to harness that energy, you can lay all the fright that comes with it to sleep, and then you begin to harness the energy and begin to perform very well. So what we do is founded on what brain science is teaching us now about how the human brain works. And I can show you a quick illustration. So we use a concept called the triune brain, which simply means 3 brains in one. And what that concept says is you make a fist like this and you cover the fist with this palm, and then you have your 3 brains. So this would be brain 1, the fist will be brain 2, and then this will be brain 3. Now brain 3 is where you and I think consciously, where we are aware. So we know we're on the KSM show today. That's the job of brain 3. Brains 1 and 2 are essentially designed for survival. And so that is where the energy burst that is produced, that we often refer to as nervousness, is produced.
In 1 and 2?
In 1 and 2. And this is why. So you move from your comfort zone into an area where you're not too comfortable. Uncertainty sets in. Anticipation sets in. Your brains 1 and 2 decide that, listen, we are not too sure if this is safe grounds. So let's produce enough energy just in case we have to run or fight or do any of the other things that we need to do to survive. And that energy is then produced. The problem is the associations and the interpretations we attach
To that energy
burst. Because it's so sudden, I mean, we are just seated, very comfortable, enjoying chatting on the KSM show, and then suddenly my heart rate increases. What's happening to me? And because we don't understand this, it becomes mysterious. And then we interpret that as doomsday is coming. I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do well enough.
Yeah.
And once these thought patterns set in, then we begin to go down, you know, the spiral. And that is when the nervous energy begins to aggravate and can actually cripple performance. And so what we do initially is to take you into the brain science behind all of this, to demystify nervousness. And then we actually teach you how to harness the energy, what to do with it, when to do it, how to use brain 3 to tell brains 1 and 2, guys, I don't need too much of this right now. I'm in safe hands. This is the KSM show, man. Come on, I don't need all that energy. It's waste.
So it's energy that the brains 1 and 2 are transmitting, and we interpret that energy to be nervousness?
To be nervousness, yes.
But you can actually see that as a different energy. Can I now, when I feel nervous, just instead of being nervous, think of it, look, this is an adrenaline pumping me.
Yes.
And so it's
Because really that's what it is.
Yeah.
It is energy, and it's produced for survival purposes. So that, you see, as we are seated right now, our heart rate has reduced. And so if there was the need for us to leap over, say, a manhole and run to safety, we don't have that energy. And so if brains 1 and 2 don't produce that burst, then we won't be energized enough to flee. So it's essential, but then basically it's energy production. Yes.
show some love, man. Show some love. So that's because I was listening. You keep talking about demystifying nervousness.
Yes.
So now nervousness is not something to make you afraid.
No.
It's
not
something
anymore.
to...
Because what we also point out is the 4 Fs. To some people, when they go through the experience, they either flee, they fight, or they go into fright, or they freeze.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
But once we demystify it and now you know its energy and you can harness it, then you begin to be relieved of these 4 things I talked about.
Or the freezing and the fright and everything.
It doesn't startle you anymore. It doesn't scare you anymore. It doesn't inhibit you anymore. It doesn't cripple you anymore. Okay. And so you begin to, you're able to now harness it and put it to use. And that is where performance begins to blossom.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Yeah, cool. And it's quite interesting. I tell people that even up to date, just before I get on stage, I'm nervous.
Lucky you.
You know?
Lucky you. Because the moment you lose that small nervousness that pushes you to perform, you begin to plateau. For every performer, you need a little bit of that. And that is why it's good to go through the training, because you see, it never really leaves you. It's essential, and it aids you it actually energizes you
Yeah.
to give your very
Yeah,
best.
yeah.
It is when you don't understand
We
it,
don't understand it.
that we associate all the mystical interpretations
freeze
to it,
and all that, yeah.
and then it cripples and inhibits our performance.
Yeah. Wow, that's cool. So anyway, for folks listening, new young ones or even old ones out there who are unnecessarily nervous, there's help, man. Mind works. How can they reach you?
So for loyal viewers of this program, we are actually putting out a loyalty reward to them.
Cool.
Now, all they need to do is call this number, if I can go ahead and just call out the number, 02-6666-4000.
Okay.
And call and say that they tuned into this program, they saw this interaction, and they are interested in the program. And then 3 of the first callers, or 3 of the callers, will actually get to go through the training for free.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But terms and conditions apply. Yes.
Okay.
Because we really want to prove to people that this works.
Okay.
Like that.
Fantastic. Well, it's so good having you here, and I'm eager to see how the process, because I've listened to your presentation on communication and all the aspects of communication that you brought into the plate, and I thought that was phenomenal. So the number is on your screen. Call if you are nervous, if you are going for an interview and you don't know how to approach it because you are nervous. He'll give you the filler, man. Mr. Ohimi, good to see you, man. Oh, there we go. All right.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Let's stick around, folks. We'll be right back.
My name is Elizabeth Ifwa Sutherland.
And I'm Amelia Penamaya Siedu.
And we're from the Accra Theatre Workshop.
Keep watching the KSM show.
The KSM show.